You are going to signal to every single cell in your body what it is that they should be feeling. You cannot create anything when you are in survival.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Pena. And in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be.
What's going on, guys? So in today's episode, we're going to talk about why keeping this good girl mask is keeping you broke and unfulfilled, what it means to activate your divine feminine energy and step into your true power, how starting your business is a spiritual initiation into your divine power, the differences and the reason why everything is connected between confidence and your cash flow, and how to rewire your entire story from survival into sovereignty and really allowing yourself to connect to your truest and highest self. So let's get into it. So as always, I have my notes ready to go, and I'm so excited to be here because I have seen this massive shift happening, not only with myself, but a lot of my students that are tapping into their authenticity. A lot of us have been conditioned to believe that we need to wait for the right time to happen. We need to wait for the external environment to be ready for us to start that business, for us to go into our true passion. But the reality is that we need to learn that there's never going to be a good time externally. We need to make the right time internally. And this is why doing the internal work is so important, and it is 100% tied into your outcome, your reality. So let's get into it. Now I have my notes. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, I will go ahead and have a slide so that this way you guys know exactly what is the main goal that you want to take away from that specific slide. And for those of you that are listening in the podcast, of course, go ahead and have your pen and paper ready, because we're going to get into a lot of things that are going to help you in taking this new journey into the next step that you need in your life, whether it's you're starting a business, whether it's you're starting your podcast, whether it's you want to do that book, whatever it might be. We're going to have practical tools that are going to help you in that journey. Okay, now the first thing is releasing your old self programming. Now what I mean by this is creating a new identity. Release the feelings from the suppressed emotion which is shaping you to be this person that you are. And this good girl mask that we are carrying around, where we feel the need to over apologize, we feel the need to seek validation. And this is really where the soul work comes into play. Before you get started on anything, people can feel your energy. People can see what you're bringing to the table based off how you are feeling about yourself. This is why before I do a podcast, I always take the time to get in the right headspace. I want to make sure that when I come on, I'm not coming and saying, hey guys, so today. No, I want to be in my peak performance. It doesn't need to be a fake performance. It has to be where I truly feel in alignment with my internal thermostat. Why this is important is because a lot of people are going and starting a business, they're going and doing something out of survival. And when you're doing anything out of survival, this is what's happening with your brain, okay? And this is what a lot of people do not understand, and this is the science behind it. Your thoughts are creating an electromagnetic frequency, okay? They carry a vibration. Look into Newtonian physics, look into quantum physics, and start just understanding the perspective of even like the double slit experiment. These are things that I've taken the time to really understand from a practical perspective, so that whenever I have these people that try and tell me manifestation is not real, your thoughts do not create your reality, I have solid evidence that proves otherwise. For example, Emuto Matamoto, I probably botched his name, but if you're watching on YouTube, I'll go ahead and make sure I put the slide here. But essentially, he talks about how he got water from two sources. He got water from like natural spring water from like the lakes, and then he got some water that was like polluted. He put them in a container and he froze this water. And when he did that, what he was trying to prove is he was going to give this water meaning. He was going to essentially play music for it, and see how the molecules were reacting. Well, the results were astonishing, and this is why you need to do your own research so that you can really disprove that inner critic that sometimes is going to come out and say, this is BS, no, it's not true what they're talking about, your thoughts do not influence anything in your real life, look at where you are. And when you see these evidences where he essentially played rock music to one of the waters, and he actually looks at the molecules, he was able to notice that the molecule was in this unharmony, like it wasn't harmonious, it wasn't coherent. And essentially what that was proving when he did the opposite experiment and he put some Beethoven music, some classical music, this was actually creating a coherent pattern. And why this is important is because of the next thing that he did. He started speaking words into this water. He said things such as, you're ugly, you should die. And then he spoke words of love, I love you, and you are amazing. Now, when he did this, this is where a lot of people are mind blown by the fact that you are actually creating this energetic frequency that is emitting to this water. Now it showed that the particles, it was crystalline. And again, I'm going to put some photos here for you guys if you're watching on YouTube, but it showed the particles in this harmonious, cohesive environment. Meanwhile, the ones that were exposed to these negative words that were not in a high vibration, it was actually distorting the particles. Why is this important? Well, because our bodies are over 75% of water. And why this is important is because if you do not understand from a logical perspective, from an intellectual perspective, from a physiological perspective, that you are going to signal to every single cell in your body what it is that they should be feeling. So if you're telling yourself constantly, hey, you're not worthy because there's this other person that already has that business, that already did the thing that you're trying to do, and they are so much better than you, what you're doing is that you are confirming that lower vibration, and you are essentially stopping yourself from reaching the next level simply because you are listening to that thought that is carrying a lower vibration, and that is going to emit through every single cell in your body. Now, the reason this is so important before going into the path to purpose is because you cannot, create anything when you are in survival. When you have conditioned your body to be in survival, meaning the hunting and gathering times when you would have to go out into the wilderness and kill what you were going to eat, your body programmed you to understand that is a cave that could potentially have something that's gonna fucking eat me. I'm not gonna go in there. And what happens with that is that in our over 50 million year old brain, because this is how far back our brain goes, it has not developed a new mechanism. It is still going to try to protect you from that dark cave. So the moment that you tell your brain, you know what, I'm thinking of starting that new business. I saw that girl and she's doing a great job, and I really fucking hate my job. I really do not want to keep coming here, but let me give it a go. What's going to happen is that your brain is going to come in here, that ego, that mechanism that's designed to protect you, and it's going to say, no, don't do that. That other person is doing so much better than you. And look at you. You can't even relate the message in the best way possible. Look at you. You're not even as good as her. And all of these thoughts that are being formed simply to protect you, from going into that vibration, because it doesn't actually understand that, again, that is where the growth is going to happen. It's going to keep you there. Now, a different way to see this, and this is biblical, is that it's the lower vibration, right? If you relate to this, let's say we're talking about God and the devil. Well, it's going to be like if the devil is going to whisper into your ear of all the things that you're going to do that are going to be bad, and why you should not do it, and why you're going to fail. Meanwhile, God is whispering in your ear and telling you, my child, I got you. Go for it. You absolutely can. And as long as you keep trying every single day and you continue to show up, you're going to be better than the version that you were yesterday. So this is where the internal work is important for this entire journey before you can go out there and start teaching other people to live, again, actually believing in your message and your dream and what it is that you're trying to share with the world. You need to know what is in your world. What are you constantly feeding to the rest of the world? Because it is going to impact everything in the way you do it. Now, the second thing I want to cover here is when we're playing from this good girl mask, right? Where it's essentially keeping us broke and unfulfilled because we're afraid to say the damn thing. For example, let's say you have this way of communicating, and that way that you communicate is typically with like, very different language than other people might, be accustomed to with these like videos. There's this guy, Johnny Chang, I think that's what his name is, Johnny Chang. He is the person that essentially, I found him because he was making some videos, and one of the videos that he made, he was talking about how he was an ex-convict and that he was really afraid to go and actually speak to one of the prisons where he was going to go and speak to. And it was all because of the fact that he was having these limiting beliefs, and he was having these limiting beliefs that were telling him, don't go over there, that is crazy. Why would you go and preach to these people when, you were doing all these bad things with them and they know who you are? They're going to think you're a hypocrite. Well, he goes back to his priest and he's talking to the priest, and he's like, you know what? I think this is a sign from God. I think this is God telling me to not go and not do this thing. Well, the priest tells him, okay, like, let me sit here for a second and humor you. And he laughs at the beginning of the story, actually, or at the end of the story. And Johnny was upset, he says it in the video. He's like, I was like, why in the hell is this guy laughing? Like, I'm over here telling him this story and he's over here laughing at, the information that I'm giving him. He's like, let me ask you, Johnny, when you were out there doing the bad things that you were doing, did you at any point have these thoughts? Did you at any point have these thoughts of like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, this is bad. This is not good for you. And Johnny reflects and he's like, no, I never did. He's like, so this is the devil trying to get to you and trying to keep you from sharing your message, which is going to inspire all these people to actually start studying the Word of God. And he just has this like revelation right in that moment. He ends up going to the prison and he ends up speaking to all the convicts, and all of them, well, based off his story, they're just like resonating with his message. They're crying, and they end up telling him like, thank you so much for sharing this. Why am I sharing this right now? Because this is the part of us that we need to stop pretending. We need to stop being afraid of speaking our truth. In those moments where we're trying to speak our truth, this is where this, I like to refer it, I don't really like to see it like as the devil and God. I think that even in the lower vibration self, like this is from God, because if God didn't want these lower vibrations to be here to teach us a lesson, they wouldn't be here. That's just my opinion. So I feel like even like when we categorize like, oh, the devil, like he's doing the devil's work, it's like, no, I think that that's God giving us the opposite, like the yin and the yang. How can we understand what good is if we don't know what bad is? How can we know what light is if we don't know what the darkness is? So for me, I've really trained my brain, because I've seen a lot of crazy shit when I was really in the lower vibration, to understand that those demons are created through our ego. Those demons are created through what we have experienced. So it's not an actual devil that is there sitting there trying to like orchestrate the worst, but because we have free will, we have the ability to experience polar opposites. We have the opportunity to see what it's like to be in a very high vibration and what it's like to be in a lower vibration. So going into this, when you are telling yourself, I am not able to speak my truth, I am not comfortable saying what I need to say, you are blocking your true potential because you're afraid to speak your truth in the best way that you can. And this is important for the next step, which is activating your dark feminine energy to unlock your true power. And a great book that you can read on this is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's going to really help you about understanding how to set boundaries, help you really understand how to step into your truth, how to be so comfortable being you that nobody's going to come and tell you that stupid business that you're starting is going to fail and there's no reason why you should do it. You're so set in what you know you can build that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody's going to say. You know that you are 100% convicted to this new power that you're stepping into, and you're going to make it happen because God is going to bless you and continue to allow you to step into that person as long as you continue to show up for yourself. And something that's really resonating with me right now that I want to share, I was listening to Myron Golden, and he was talking about how sometimes we've been so programmed to believe that our gift is not worth sharing. Our gift is not worth saying it to the world because we're comparing ourselves and we're saying, well, if I sounded like this person, like I'm going to use myself as an example. I have this limiting belief where sometimes I say, man, like you have all these thoughts in your head and you just want to share them with the world, but because you're going like 1,000 miles per hour in your head, you end up botching the statement that you wanted to say, and you said it in such a different way when you know that when you read it or listen to it again, you could have said it in a different way. And I have a lot of beliefs around that, a lot of limiting beliefs that sometimes tell me like, and you want to, continue to do your podcast and you want to continue to make these videos, like people are probably like having a hard time understanding you, which is why I have like now my notes to stay organized. But I share this because when I was having those limiting beliefs, I had to understand that it was my comfort level, my comfort zone, trying to keep me in that same vibration. So when I was comparing myself, and what Myron Golden was sharing is, you keep comparing yourself to what that person has and saying like, oh, if I had, the way that that person looks, then I could be successful. If I have the money that that person has, then I can be successful. If I sound it the way that that person sounds, then I can be successful. But if that was the case, why in the world would have God made two of that same person? Like the gift that he gave you is not the gift that he gave them, because if that was the case, you guys would be identical and there would be no need for the two of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, preach. Like that is so true. And it's real. Like think about it. Your gift, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're trying to start your business as an online entrepreneur, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a nurse, and you're like, I know that I love to help people and I want to do something with this, right? Why is it that you're self-sabotaging yourself and comparing yourself to how all these other people have done it, when in reality, people are going to relate with you because of you. People are going to relate with me because of my way of communicating. People are going to relate with me because of my ADHD. People are going to relate with me because of my tattoos. People are not going to relate with me because of all those things, but that's okay because those are not my people. And the people that are going to relate with me are my people. So it's the same thing for you. You need to program your brain to understand that is not your problem. Your only problem, your only focus should be you continuing to be the better version of yourself. And as long as you're doing that, and as long as you're in this state of healing, you are on your way to continue to unleash the gift that God has given you. Now, the next point I'm going to make is the gift that we have from God. So I kind of already touched on this, but it's really important for you to understand that that gift that you have is there for a reason. God gave you that message for a reason. God gave you that dream for a reason. And the fact that you have that dream and the fact that you have that goal, if you decide not to share it with the world, like let's say right now I say, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to stay in real estate because I make a shit ton of money with real estate and it's super fucking easy for me because I love it. And I love it in terms of how I'm helping people, and I love it in terms of how quickly I can help people. Therefore, there's a lot of money that can come into my bank account really quickly. Okay. This is like my thought process. Now, when it came to my feminine embodiment coaching, I had to start all over, right? I had to start from zero. I had to start from not coaching anybody in the past to coaching my first person. And still, even at this point, as I'm continuing to learn more and more about how to deliver the information, how to share with the information that is going to connect in a way that's going to resonate with people, how to make sure that I'm delivering as much value as possible to really make sure that there's an equal exchange of energy, it is very important for me to understand that, yes, although this is easy, that's not my gift for the world. The reason why I enjoyed it for such a long time is because I was helping people. I was helping people get into their first home. And that for me was such a beautiful blessing because I was making money for my family, meanwhile making their family happy. I was never the type of person to push somebody to buy if they couldn't buy. Like if they told me, Alexa, I'm struggling to pay my rent, I would say, you know what, my love, you should wait. Like, don't buy right now. I don't want you to go into foreclosure. Like, let's get your finances where you need to be and then buy a house. And I can truthfully say that because every single person that I've helped, it came from the bottom of my heart. And this is why I was so successful in real estate. So when I dissected that, I was like, wait, so now I'm trying to actually go for something different, right? I'm actually trying to help people in a way that is in alignment with what helped me because I came from nothing and I built something. So I must have learned something through that. And when I realized that again, the reason why God had given me the situations that I encountered was for me to learn, was for me to relate to people, was for me to understand their trajectory. And now when I decided, you know what, I want to be a coach. I want to be a feminine embodiment coach, which essentially teaches people how to manifest and how to still be a powerhouse and still, scale their business, not just this woo-woo stuff of like, yeah, let's, manifest. I was like, why can't I do this? Why isn't it something that I could tap into if I'm providing value, if I'm providing an equal exchange of energy? So this is where you have a gift, you have a goal, and you have something that you need to share with the world. And sometimes we're so afraid of sharing that message with the world simply because we're afraid of what people are going to think. But if you know for a fact that what you're going to deliver to somebody is going to take them from a transformation, from point A to even point C, that is already a win, because you're helping them understand that there's something more to life. For example, I started the new course that I'm starting right now. It's called Business Meets Manifestation. And essentially, I'm teaching women about the internal work, but I'm also going to include how to scale your business and how to automate your business, because a lot of the times these amazing women are starting their business, but they don't scale it because they don't know how to automate it. They don't know what ads are. They don't know how to retarget people. They don't know how to create a low ticket offer. They don't know how to create a lot of these things that are so essential if you study the big marketers in the world. And you have a powerful message. You're not just trying to teach people, hey, go viral. You're trying to teach people to go viral so they can share their message, right? You're trying to teach people, let's say you're, you have a great following on TikTok, and now you're trying to teach people how to get a great following on TikTok. You can think of it from the perspective of, oh, that's greedy because I just want to make money. But if you reframe that to the real reason why you would like to help people, and it's going to actually be truthful and honest, it could be, actually, I'm going to help people so that they can share their message with the world. Therefore, you're connecting the message and the goal and the gift that God gave you in order for you to continue to share it with the rest of the world. That is going to help them liberate themselves from the 9-to-5 that was keeping them in a low vibration, where they hated their boss, where the boss was being an asshole with them, where they weren't being in the safe environment that they needed to have. This is why understanding these connections between our story that has happened, and the new story that we're trying to recreate is essential for our journey. Now, the next point is going to be when it comes to connecting your boundaries with your confidence and your cash flow. So why is that important? Because let's just say, this whole episode, it's about path to profit. So purpose to profit, I'm sorry. So let's say now you understand, okay, this is something that I personally love. Like, I found my internal healing, or I'm working on my internal healing. I am done people pleasing. I'm ready to go full force. Well, the important part here is that you need to make sure that you connect your confidence, your boundaries, and everything that you're doing on your internal work to the goal. So for example, me, whenever I decided that this is the goal that I wanted to do with Walking Manifestator, I had to decide that I was no longer willing to care about what people were going to think about me. And even though it's a struggle sometimes, because sometimes it comes up, and like I told you earlier, it can show up in every shape, size, or form. But at the end of the day, I remind myself, okay, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it for you? And I'm like, it is for me, yes, but it's further than me. I want to inspire women how to stop living in these limiting beliefs. And I know that the more vulnerable that I am and the more willing that I am to share, the more that it's going to help people, and women especially, heal their trauma so that they can create a business that is from the soul and not a business that is ego-based. And this is where you need to get very clear. If your goal is to generate a lot of money and you want to surpass your first 6 figures and you've never done it before, the first thing that I had to get clarity on is, was it an ego-based goal or was it a soul purpose goal? And at that time, it started off as an ego-based goal because I wanted to make more money. But as I was starting to realize the ropes of real estate, I realized all the people that were just trying to make more money were actually not making more money because they were being very greedy. They were being very selfish. They were just worried about themselves. So I actually turned into a soul purpose goal, which was I genuinely wanted to help these people get to their desired outcome. In this case, buying their house. So for me, this is the next question that I asked myself in starting the new business. And this is what you want to ask yourself. Are you starting this business because it's just about the money? Because if that's the case, I'm telling you, it's going to be, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to fail, because there's a lot of things that you can do that are going to succeed, especially when you're willing to work for them. but are you going to be fulfilled is the better question. And now, if you really want something that is going to fill you up and make you feel content with life and make you feel happy that you're waking up and make you feel refreshed and make you want to continue to show up every single day, then you need to find a soul purpose goal. And the soul purpose goals are these goals that you need to find from the internal work that you did. Let's say you had a problem with eating disorders and you were somebody that had a lot of issues with your weight and you know that you struggled through that. Well, what if now the way that you were able to change your entire life, you teach somebody else how to change theirs and you help them create this low ticket offer where you're teaching them, hey, this is the diet that I did that helped me go from point A to point Z. And instead of you allowing your self-sabotage to get the best of you and saying, well, there's already somebody else doing it, stop worrying about that because you know that they're not you. And this is why this blueprint is so important when it comes to stepping into that profit. If you can reprogram your old identity, create a new identity, get very clear on the fact that you're not willing to continue to play it small and people please, and find an actual goal that is something that fills you up, that makes you want to wake up and just keep going. That is where you are actually aligning your purpose to your profit. And if you can align the two, this is how you create something that is going to change the world. Why? Because the more that you are healing yourself, the more that you are contributing to the solution, the more that the world is changing because you're able to pay it forward. Now you're not living in survival, and now you see that person in the corner that is asking for money, and instead of criticizing them and saying, get a fucking job, now you say, I have $10, I'm gonna pay it forward because God blessed me and God was able to help me. I can pay it forward. This is where your reprogramming comes into play. This is where your entire identity can shift. And this is where you start making big money. I'm telling you, this is how I've been able to scale my business. This is how I'm going to do the same with Walking Manifestator, because I know that as long as I follow this formula, as long as I continue to work on myself, as long as I continue to embody this new version of myself, as long as I continue to show up and do the internal work so that I'm actually a leader, not a tyrant, I know that things are going to continue to grow. I know that things are going to continue to get better because I'm doing it from the soul, because I'm doing it from my heart. And I know that the value and the information that I'm putting out there is genuinely things that have helped me in my journey. So you need to do the same. You need to ask yourself, what is it of value that you have in your journey that came from your pain? What is it that you struggled with when you were younger that you wish somebody would have told you? This is how you start finding your actual purpose in life. A lot of the times we've been just, again, beaten down, conditioned to believe, no, don't share that. That is stupid. Why would you want to talk about that? But the reality is that, again, our greatest strength lies in the pain that we endured at one point. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time on the podcast or on the channel, this is what we talk about. We talk about all things to help you become the best version of yourself, women empowerment, to really help us heal past our generational wounds, because we've been living far too long in survival, and it is time for us to heal ourselves so that we can heal our kids, so that we can pay it forward to the world. And this is how we change the world, one person at a time. One healed version of us is impacting the rest of our society. So with that being said, I love you so much. And if you have not joined our school community, the links are down below. It is currently still open to the public, but I am telling you, it is going to be closed off, and we're going to be having a monthly membership because we're going to be providing a lot of value inside the community. So if you're interested right now, join, it's free. And if you're interested in any of the courses that we offer, there is a ton of value in them. It's my life's work. It's what I've curated through my struggles, through my journey, and I put a lot of time and energy in creating those courses, and I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback from the girls that have purchased them, and I continue to make them better because I believe that, again, if you want to become a pro in anything, you just keep tweaking it as much as you can until you get it to the point where it just is the best work that you can. And I don't feel like we ever get to this point where anything is perfect, because even Tony Robbins at this point, he still tweaks his courses and he still tweaks his programs, because it's about learning, it's about growing, it's about evolving. So with that being said, I love you so much, and I will talk to you on the next one.